We're only halfway through the year, and we have already gotten an abundance of quality horror flicks. We watched Allison WIlliams take a break from being terrorized by Lena Dunham to be terrorized by a lifelike evil AI doll in Megan. Mia Goth returned to form as her usual maniacal character in Infinity Pool, which premiered at Sundance. Streamers released surprising hits, most notably Shudder with Skinamarink, which had everyone revisiting their childhood nightmares. Perhaps the most anticipated horror release this year, Scream 6 left Woodsboro and Sidney Prescott behind for the bright lights of New York City. Not to mention an outstanding and terrifying directorial debut from Down Under with Talk to Me by Danny Philippou and Michael Philippou. We would say horror is back, baby, but the past few years have proven to be a breeding ground for eclectic quality horror. And this year is a strong continuation of that. So here are the best horror movies of 2023 so far. Welcome to Horror Stories Fanatics. If you enjoy this type of content, then subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss out on any of our latest and greatest uploads. The Pale Blue Eye. Few names in horror fiction are as beloved as Edgar Allan Poe, but The Pale Blue Eye isn't a typical adaptation of one of his most famous works. Instead, Scott Cooper's chilly murder mystery cast Poe, Harry Melling, as a supporting character in the story of the mysterious deaths of several cadets at the United States Military Academy at West Point, New York. Cooper reunites with Christian Bale after 2017's Hostiles, who delivers another outstanding reserved performance as the grizzled detective Augustus Landor. While The Pale Blue Eye begins as a straightforward investigative thriller, Cooper incorporates elements of gothic horror as the murders get more gruesome. While it may not pack a lot of jump scares, the shocking ending is the type of real horror that will stick with you far after the credits have rolled. The scares in The Pale Blue Eye are psychological. What are people willing to do to each other out of revenge? And how does obsession begin? It's a particularly interesting work of biographical fiction that explores how these traumatic events inspire Poe and shape his worldview. Melling's idiosyncratic, mannered performance is perfect for the reclusive author. Cooper once again puts together fantastic production design that captures the eerie atmosphere of a frosty 19th century military academy. The woodland environments are perfect for the film's themes about mankind's inherently animalistic nature. It's unflinchingly brutal, never drawing attention to the carnage, which somehow manages to make it even more disturbing. With stellar creepy supporting work from Lucy Boynton and Harry Lottie, The Pale Blue Eye is a new winter-bound horror favorite and one of the stronger Netflix originals. That from writer Liam Goggin. Megan. Killer dolls have been done in horror many times over the decades. Chucky and Annabelle, anyone? It takes a unique concept to create a film with a similar villain and not have it come off as a clone. Megan succeeds at standing on its own by creating a character we've never seen before. Megan, Amy McDonald and Jenna Davis, is a life-sized AI doll programmed to speak and walk like a real person. Her implanted purpose is to be a friend for a recently orphaned child, but she takes her mission a little too seriously and ends up becoming overprotective to the point of murder. Allison WIlliams and young Violet McGraw are great as the aunt and niece trying to stop Megan's murderous ways. The film is both scary and funny, and while the third act bloodbath is hindered a little by its PG-13 rating, the creepy dance sequence is so unique that it went viral before the film was ever released. Let's see Annabelle do that. And that was from writer Sean Van Horn. Skinamarink. From its disquieting beginning all the way to its petrifying end, Kyle Edward Ball's feature debut, Skinamarink, is a modern horror masterpiece, telling what could be a simple story of two siblings who find themselves trapped in their home after all the windows and doors vanish. It thrives in its precise presentation that is unlike anything else out there. Specifically, it's a very restrained yet no less riveting work of horror where what we don't see is just as scary as what we do. Taking place entirely in this single location that increasingly feels as though it has been removed from time and space, it plunges into the darkness that threatens to swallow you whole. as voices begin to echo throughout the house and figures appear where there were once none. It settles into a rhythm that is as mesmerizing as it is maddening. It's not a film for everyone, but it rewards those who take the plunge along with it. If you find yourself brave enough, you're going to want to turn off all the lights in your house and put on headphones to fully immerse yourself in what proves to be a distinctly evocative vision. That from writer Chase Hutchinson. Infinity Pool. What is it that you like to experience on vacation? Perhaps it's to see the sights, to try the local food, or just get a chance to relax. That is, unless you are one of the depraved characters in Brandon Cronenberg's Infinity Pool, where you go to get away with gruesome acts of violence before gleefully observing your clone get executed in your place. You know, just normal vacation stuff that we all love. Any other information about the experience of this film would spoil the fun, but suffice it to say that there are macabre revelations to be found in this darkly delightful work. More than a bit grim, as it unflinchingly observes how the wealthy can get away with anything due to their wealth. It also has a wonderfully bleak sense of humor woven throughout as well. Key to this is a wonderful Mia Goth, who gives one of her most unhinged performances to date in the film's standout sequences. Not only was it one of the best movies to come out of the wonderful lineup of midnight films at Sundance, but it also packs one of the more beautifully bleak endings that provides one final grim punchline to take as a souvenir in your mind. That from writer Chase Hutchinson. Huesera, the Bone Woman. Huesera, the Bone Woman, uses the titular supernatural entity to explore the pleasures and pains of motherhood in a raw and sometimes cruel fashion. Michelle Garza-Cervera's directorial feature debut should already be celebrated for its ambition alone. Still, those willing to explore this Spanish-language horror story will discover that Huesera also has much to say about family expectations, the material challenges people face in Latin countries, and what it means for a woman to be free in a patriarchal society. With a spectacular performance by lead actress Natalia Solian, Huesera will shock and maybe disgust viewers who are not prepared to face some harsh truths about what motherhood really means for women who don't fit into the housewife mold. But that is precisely what horror is all about, and a good horror movie often illuminates the darker corners of the human mind and forces us to reflect on the traumatic experiences we try to suppress daily. It's impossible to come out indifferent from a screening of Huesera, not only for the technical achievements of a brilliant feature debut, but also due to the uncomfortable themes Cervera dares to expose. Add a good dose of body horror to the mix, and we have one of the best movies of 2023. That from writer Marco Vito Otto. Knock at the Cabin, based on the popular novel The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. Knock at the Cabin is M. Night Shyamalan's best film in years. What starts out as a typical home invasion thriller with a group of 4 villains breaking into a family's vacation cabin soon turns into something else when the baddies tell their victims that one of them must sacrifice their life or the world will come to an end. It makes for some nerve-wracking, suspenseful scenes as the family fights back against their captors, and escalating events leave the audience wondering if the group is telling the truth about their actions or if they are there for other nefarious means. It all leads to a highly impactful and emotional finale. Pay special attention to Dave Bautista. The former wrestler turned actor shows that he is so much more than a Marvel sidekick. He is a leading man you can't take your eyes off of. That from writer Sean Van Horn. Scream 6. While 2022's Scream was a solid new take on Wes Craven's legendary horror franchise, it was clearly just a stepping stone for filmmakers Tyler Gillett and Matt Bettinelli-Olpin to get adjusted to the saga. Scream 6 is a fully baked vision, adding a metatextual commentary on the continuation of legacy sequels, with more probing analysis of victimization and the perception of public tragedies. Not only is Scream 6 easily the most violent film in the series thus far, but it's also the most relentless. 2 hours might seem like a stretch considering how short some of the earlier installments in the Scream series were, but Scream 6 never loses a moment of tension as it seamlessly unravels its mystery. 2022 Scream was fiercely connected to the legacy characters, yet the absence of Neve Campbell isn't a detraction in Scream 6. Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega have now proven themselves as the definitive final girls of this generation, even if the ghosts of the franchise's past continue to linger with them. Hayden Panettiere's return to the franchise is immensely satisfying, and Courtney Cox delivers one of her strongest performances thus far after all the trauma Gail endured in the previous films. This is certainly a darker film with insight into college campus safety, conspiracy theorists, toxic masculinity, and the media obsession with violence. The themes of Scream 6 feel even more timely than ever before. If Scream 6 hits a little too close to home, it shows how far the franchise has come in its seismic impact on popular culture. It's a continuation that Craven would be proud of, and the best of the series since Scream 2. And with that, we've reached the end of this video. If you enjoyed it and you found it helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again in the next one.